At 2 seconds past midnight, a military aircraft didn't just disappear, it was erased. No signal, no distress call, just gone. For 90 seconds, Israeli air defense screens showed nothing where one of their most critical assets should have been, and in that silence, an entire airspace lost its eyes. But here's where it gets strange. This wasn't a fighter, not a bomber. It was something far more dangerous to lose. The aircraft was a Gulfstream G550-based Awax, one of only 3 Israel operates. A flying command center. A system that doesn't fight, but tells everything else how to fight. And without it, the entire structure starts to wobble. It sees 400 kilometers out. It tracks up to 1,000 targets. And it updates every 2 seconds. Inside that jet, a crew of about a dozen isn't just observing, they're orchestrating. Every intercept, every missile launch, every evasive maneuver. Fighters don't hunt targets on their own. They're guided, directed, positioned. Standard logic says losing one aircraft shouldn't cripple a modern air force. But the data reveals a paradox. Remove the Awax and suddenly, advanced jets like the F-35 are forced to rely on their own radar, shrinking their awareness from a 400-kilometer sphere to a narrow forward cone. Ground radars try to compensate, but Earth itself gets in the way. Curvature limits visibility to as little as 50 to 80 kilometers at low altitude. That should have been manageable. It wasn't, because the Awax doesn't just extend vision. It connects everything. Then came the bigger shock. The aircraft wasn't over enemy territory. It was 120 kilometers west of Israel, over international waters. That location matters. A lot, because it places the aircraft outside the reach of most Iranian air defenses based in Iran itself. So how did it get hit? 2 possibilities, neither comfortable. Either Iran deployed mobile air defense systems at sea, extending their reach into the Mediterranean, or they fired from Syrian territory, using systems quietly positioned over time. At first glance, both sound extreme. They are. But one of them happened, and what happened next changed the risk calculation for every aircraft in the region. The missile used, likely the Syed 4B, range about 200 kilometers, ceiling 27 kilometers. It uses active radar homing, meaning once launched, it guides itself. And here's the uncomfortable part. An Awax is the perfect target. Large radar signature, predictable orbit, limited maneuverability. It's not built to run, it's built to see. So while fighters are designed to survive, the Awax is designed to be found. Now, zoom out for a moment. The loss itself is only step 1. What follows is where things get, well, complicated. Israel operates 3 of these aircraft. That's not a fleet, it's a rotation. One is airborne, one is preparing, and one is in maintenance. Lose one and the math just breaks down. Now there are gaps, predictable ones. There are windows where no Awax is in the sky, windows where radar coverage shrinks, and windows where enemies can move with, honestly, a lot less risk. And this is where, most people misunderstand what actually happened, because the real damage isn't the explosion itself. It's the schedule. Iran doesn't need constant dominance. They just need to act during the gaps. And then, well, things get worse. Each Awax costs around $500 million. But the aircraft itself isn't the bottleneck here. It's everything else. Crew training takes years. Systems integration takes years. Even building a replacement, that's 18 to 24 months, minimum. And that's assuming production lines are active, which honestly isn't guaranteed. So here's the paradox. Iran may have spent just a few $1,000,000 on missiles to remove a capability that takes years to restore. But here's where the strategy shifts. Standard logic says, target the fighters, shoot down the jets, win the air battle. But modern warfare doesn't work like that anymore. Instead, you target the system behind the fighters. Awax, refueling tankers, radar networks. You don't break the sword, you blind the hand holding it. And once that system is degraded, even the most advanced jets start operating with limits. Now, consider the response. Official statements called it a technical malfunction. No mention of missiles, no mention of Iran. That explanation is possible, but it raises a question. If it was just a malfunction, why did patrol patterns change immediately after? AWACS flights now stay farther out. They fly higher. They have fighter escorts, something not standard before. That doesn't match a mechanical failure. That matches a new threat. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. Israel now faces a lose-lose decision. Keep flying AWACS missions and risk losing the remaining two, or ground them and lose the capability anyway. Fast loss or slow loss? Same outcome. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. Each flight hour demands up to 25 hours of maintenance. With only 2 aircraft, overlapping maintenance cycles are inevitable, which means longer gaps. Days, not hours. And during those gaps, what happens? That answer hasn't fully played out yet, but early signs are already visible. More cautious operations, reduced deep strike confidence, higher reliance on satellites and drones, which can't fully replace AWACS. Zoom out one more level. This doesn't just affect Israel. U.S. operations in the region rely on shared data. That coverage just dropped by a third. American AWACS can help, but they're spread thin globally. So the effect ripples outward, quietly. And this is the final twist. This wasn't a dramatic battlefield defeat. No front lines collapsed. No cities changed hands. But something more subtle broke. The assumption that high-value assets are untouchable. And once that assumption is gone, every future mission is planned differently. More caution, more hesitation, more risk. Because now there's proof, not theory, not speculation. Proof that the eyes in the sky can be taken out. And if that's true, what else isn't as safe as everyone thought?